we can take this question. That this is from Megan. Megan is asking that they're having a lot of columns choking in their lab. So I think that's she's trying to ask about column pressure going up. So what are the most common causes of column pressure going up?
So there are several causes of column pressure going up, but the common reasons for the column pressure exceeding would be choking of the column, and choking can be due to or there may be some voids created because of air bubbles if the mobile phase is not properly degassed, and there could be some solids which are not filtered. There are no inlet filters provided in the solvent bottles, or the mobile phase may be having some particles which are less than 0.2 micron size. So because of these reasons, generally we get choking inside columns, and there's a resultant pressure increase.
Great. So usually proper filtration of your samples as well as your mobile phase takes care of it. If you're still having it, I would suggest you use a guard column, and at least you'll be able to save your main column by using the guard columns. So thank you, Dr. Deepak. I think that's about it. I don't see any more questions coming in. So please, if you have any questions, I would request all the members who are here in the webinar attending today to please send in any questions. We're almost done also with the time. We've got about a couple of minutes going. Alright, so those were all the questions we had. So I would like to thank all of you for attending, and we'll be organizing more webinars subsequently, maybe in about 15 to 20 days, hoping that you'll be able to cover 6 more modules by then and have lots more questions. I would also request all of you to please be more active in the forums and ask your questions there. Maybe next time we'll also pick up questions from the forums and discuss them more elaborately here. The discussion forums are a great place for you to really, interact with everybody. And last minute, I'll just like to open up the mic to all our attendees. So we can, if you're interested, we can just have a quick introduction. So I hope you have your headphones with you, and do have a mic also in it. So I'll just unmute for everybody. Okay, so the session is now open and we can talk to each other. It would be great to hear your voices. Alfin, Miss Alfin, Shazia, anybody else?
Yeah, I'm Shazia from UK.
Hi Shazia, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Actually, HPLC and gas chromatography is totally new for me.
Okay.
And I have started in university.
Great.
So
great.
some of the things, because most of I was listening the questions and answer session, and most of the questions were coming from those who are already working in that environment.
Very true.
So I'm still finding it difficult to understand some of the basics.
Yeah. So you can ask any questions. We'll be more than happy to cover basic questions also for you.
Okay. Like the method validation, these terms I didn't get it properly. Linearity, range.
Okay.
And limit of quantification.
All right. So if you talk about method validation is actually a systematic approach by which we establish that when we use a method on HPLC. Can you hear me?
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear. I think something is happening.
Is it fine now, Shazia? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just quickly walk you through what method validation and the parameters related to it are. Method validation is actually a systematic approach to establishing that the method can do what we want it to do. So that when we are using the method routinely, whatever results we get from the analysis are reproducible and we can get the proper results every time. Okay. When we develop a new method, we have to develop confidence on the method that it is suitable for our application. So that is done by validating the method. Then you asked about linearity and other things. So linearity is one of the parameters which we look at. Say if my sample has got a concentration of 10 micrograms per milliliter, and there is another sample which has got 100 micrograms per milliliter. So this is my minimum and maximum that I want to measure in my sample. So I need to cover this range as part of my validation, that my method can work in this range and will give suitable results. So we establish a linearity. Linearity is that, say on HPLC.
Linearity, the minimum concentration which gives the proper result, and the maximum concentration.
Yes, it will help us establish that range. So this is the range, and linearity is that I am getting a linear response, that when I increase the concentration of my sample, with that the area of my peak is also increasing proportionately. So that shows that there is a linear relation and we can use it to calculate the concentration of samples. So that is linearity, and linearity also helps us establish the range. Then you talked about limit of detection. So limit of detection is the smallest amount of the analyte which we can measure with our method in the samples.
Okay,
so that is
limit of quantification is also related with the linearity, the minimum quantity of the
Yes. So my limit of quantification will be the lowest end of my linearity, my linear range which is there.
And what about the range?
So range is established based on this only, that I am in this from 10 micrograms to 100 micrograms. I am getting a linear response. That is, when I increase my concentration, the area also increases. And also within this, my results are reproducible. So we will do spike samples, or we will analyze the calibration curve again and again, and we have don't have any undue variation there. So if it is reproducible in that range and we have a linear response, so that comes to be my range. So if my method is validated from 10 micrograms to 100 micrograms, that becomes my method's range. If there is any sample more than...
So range is a method range.
Yes, that is the concentration range for my method, where I will get the reproducible results, or the range over which I have validated the method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Shazia, feel totally free. You can ask us questions in the forum, send us emails, and we are here to answer your questions.
Yeah, because I was just hearing the questions and I was just thinking of most of the people are from the same background, and they already know much of it, and I'm totally new.
Yeah. So please feel free to ask any questions. We'll be happy to answer them. All right. So any other questions coming in?
Pardon?
Any other things you would like to answer? Like us to answer right now?
Yeah. One more thing. When you analyze the data, when you get the chromatogram, what is the starting point to analyze the chromatogram?
Okay. It depends on what question you are trying to answer from the chromatogram. So if you are trying to find the quantity, can you talk about a specific application so I can help you exactly?
Like short chain fatty acids in the samples of wine or something, or soya sauce.
All right.
And just the identification of the compounds present, short chain fatty acids present in my
Great.
sample.
So when we are doing fatty acid profiles, you would be running a standard along with your samples. So the standard will give you a particular peak pattern, which will
standards. What do you mean by standards? Are some the compounds I am interested in?
Yes, it could be your pure compounds, single pure compounds, or it could be a mixture of your single pure compounds. Like when you're doing fatty acid analysis, you can buy a mixed standard from Sigma Aldrich, which has got, I think, about 37 different compounds in it, and they give you the peak elution pattern also. That first retention time, this much minutes is this compound, this much minutes is this compound. So from there you can compare your sample and come up with a identity of the peaks. So say if I'm getting a peak at 5 minutes and 25 seconds, and there is a
Okay, so I can reject rest of the peaks from my sample I'm getting.
yes. So once you compare it with the standard, say if you're looking at butyric acid is coming at 3 minutes, and in your sample also you have the same peak at 3 minutes. So now you know that okay, this is butyric acid, and then by comparing the areas you can calculate the amount of butyric acid in your sample.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
So you will start by looking at the retention time, and then for quantification you will look at the areas.
Area of the peak.
Yeah, peak area.
So area of the peak will automatically come up in the on the computer system.
Yes. We have a module on integration where we have the video also for this, and we've shown how the area and the report is generated. So when you reach that part of the course, you'll be able to see the videos on how it is to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Alright.
So always for the sample we need to run the standards.
Yes. Ideally every time, but depending on the kind of environment you're working in, it is also possible you can do a fatty acid profile once, standardize it on your method, on your system, and then keep on referring it to it for say a month or a week, not running it every time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Alright, so with that, we're already 10 minutes over our scheduled time. So thank you very much to everyone for attending. Dr. Deepak, your last words.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been a very good interactive session, and I was expecting a good number of participants, but I'm sure that next time we'll have a greater participation. You will come with your questions, and we'll know exactly what is the requirement of the program. So thanks all, thanks to everybody.
Alright, so thank you very much, and good night, good day. See you in the next webinar.